A beautiful day, sunny day in Accra here, talking to you from the offices of the Mental Health Authority, from the old Ministry of Health building. I pray we are all doing very, very, very well. We are all doing very, very well. 9 minutes into our time, but we'll do well. We will do well. Yes, today we have the part 2 of the previous session, and today we've simply named it Sex and Psychological Well-Being. I mean, those of you who missed, and I'm pretty sure all of you here did not miss the previous session. It was an exciting session indeed, and I went back to watch what we did on YouTube, and it was exciting and even learning more. So I'd encourage those of you who are joining now to go to YouTube, just type in the title of the previous session, and it's there and you can watch it again. As usual, our housekeeping rules still stays. When you join, please mute yourself. When it's time for question time, you raise your hand by indicating I'll call you to make your submission. We'll be discussing mental health, and it can get sensitive, so that if you get the opportunity to share your opinion, ask a question, make a comment, I would plead with you to be as sensitive as you can be. Let's remind all of you that we have a helpline that you can call in case yourself or somebody needs help. And the number is 0800-678-678. I repeat, 0800-678-678. My name is Dr. Yao Amankwa Arthur. We'll get the ball rolling. We wouldn't waste much time because my facilitators are all fired up, right? So we wouldn't waste much time. When I put the flyer up again, I got interesting remarks from a lot of people. Hey, are you going to talk about this? Are you going to talk about it? Yes, we are going to talk about it because we normally don't talk about it, and it's an issue that needs to be talked about. It's part of our life, so we need to talk about it. Sex is not just for pleasure, for relieving sexual tension, and for procreation. People engage in it for other reasons, and these other reasons are where the problems are, and for that matter, it's necessary to talk about them. Last session, we learned that mutual sex between couples, married couples specifically, had immense benefits for their psychological well-being. Today, yes, we'll have new participants, and for that matter, we are going to re-echo that benefit aside discussing other issues. I mean, it refreshes the couple, it makes communication between them more exciting, they renew their bond all the time, among others. That being said, there are other risk factors that predisposes them to enjoy those sexual relationships so that they will have that benefit. Societal problems, work problems, financial issues, and the context of the marriage itself are all risk factors that in some ways does not help for the couple to enjoy that sexual relationship that they need to enjoy. And in all, we realized that we needed to enhance our communication skills, particularly between couples, if there are problems. Today, we'll delve much into it. Then again, let me finally repeat that our last session, those of you who missed it, is on YouTube. Just type in the title of the seminar, and it's there for you to enjoy. Today, we are discussing sex in general. It is not to disregard the moralistic aspect of it, but I mean, it is part of us. It is a physiological need that we need to do. But there is the restriction to it, into engaging into it. So we'll discuss that bit. So today we are discussing it in general. We'll be looking at premarital sex, incompatibility, religion associated with sex and sexual dysfunction and all that. What I intend to do is to ask a few critical questions, then I'll throw it out to you, our audience. Then type in your questions, because you also have issues. Type in your questions. And in fact, your question would only be read if it is very, very related to what we are discussing today. If it is not related, I'm not going to read it. And if you get opportunity to ask your questions, voice, it is the same thing. Make sure that your question is related to what we are discussing. The topic for the last session was sex in marriage, managing stress, emotions, and maintaining psychological well-being. Sex in marriage, managing stress, emotions, and maintaining psychological well-being. So those of you are asking the title of the previous topic, there you have it. There you have it. It's there for you to enjoy. So let me quickly introduce our facilitators for today. They are, but for one person, they are the same facilitators that we had last month. They did a fantastic job, I must tell you. The recording on YouTube tells for itself. Again, we have Dr. May Wolf Caesar. She's a consultant clinical psychologist with 10 years experience, and she runs 2 huge counseling services, Equilinks and Equiconsult. She runs these clinics in Tema. All that. So, Dr. May, let's hear you. Dr. Caesar.
Good afternoon, Dr. Walker.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Surviving in there, hanging in there, you know.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you. We also have Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur, Senior. He is a medical doctor as well as a clinical psychologist with 10 years plus of experience. Currently, the acting director for the medical directorates at the UPSA, University of Professional Studies, Accra here. Thus, part-time counseling services and lecturing services as well. And 12 years of experience tells you that he knows his stuff, and he shared it last period. And so he's going to do the same today. Ike, let's hear you. Are you there?
Thank you. Thank you, Arthur Senior. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful.
Good.
Good. Let me also say that Fred, I'm the PRO for Ghana Psychological Association. So exactly. Ghana Psychological Association is fully represented here.
It's fully.
The association is fully represented.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Representing Accra.
Yeah, yes. Oh, oh. Yeah, Auntie May, we'll level, no. Or high, your level, you are you're a senior member of the association. You don't know. Sign and seal.
Dr. Caesar's level is on the higher level, so you know.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. On the Patreon, cry GPA. Hey.
He's on the higher level, so we acknowledge that.
No. The level.
Ghana Psychological Association is fully represented here. Great. We also have Mrs. Florence Enimwa Darkon. She is a senior staff with the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Ghana. Academically, she holds a Master of Philosophy degree, a Bachelor in Nursing with Psychology from the University of Ghana, Diploma in Registered Mental Health Nursing, a Fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Nursing and Midwifery, Foundation Fellow of the Ghana College of Nurses and Midwives. She is learned, ladies and gentlemen, she is learned. She is also a marriage counselor, marriage coach, a deaconess, and one of the marriage counselors for COP, Medina District, and Worships with Mount Olive. And all our facilitators are happily married with children. And trust me, some of the children choose the photos for our facilitators. I won't mention who, but they chose the photos of what you saw on the flyer. So you know that we have some children who are still getting us there. All right, Florence, let's hear you. Hello? Mrs. Darkon, let's hear you. Are you there? Oh, what's going on? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Did you call me?
No,
yeah, I can
no,
hear you. I can hear you.
I was trying to reach out to Mrs. Darkon. Hello, Florence.
Yeah, so I think she said she has been muted. So please, can you unmute yourself? Mrs. Darko, if you can unmute yourself. Let me do this thing. Okay.
All right.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Good afternoon, Doug, and good afternoon, colleagues.
Good.
Facilitators, and good afternoon, all. We hope to have a very beautiful and very insightful program. Thank you very much.
Let's see your face?
Yes.
Let my participants see you.
Yes, that's my face. Please, can you see me now?
No, please.
Wow.
Oh, I can see you.
Yes.
You can see it.
Yes, I can see it. You have to scroll.
Yes. Yes, I think I should be.
I am technologically challenged here, so no worries. Let's get on with it.
I think they have seen me. Oh.
Yes, they have seen you. If they have seen you, that's fine. If they have seen you, that's fine.
Thank you
very much. That's fine. Okay, so we are ready to go. We are ready to hit the road. I remember the last time Dr. Azuson said that men were of the gas stove, partial, then we are on heat. And the women were like the electric stove. You need to switch it on and patiently allow it to warm up and get to that point, which was a quite interesting analogy that he put up. But for our first discussion, I want us to look at intimacy among couples. Let me start with you, Dr. Caesar. How can couples nurture intimacy between them?
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you very much that you put the second one together. Looking forward to it. How can couples nurture intimacy? So we know that at some point, if we've been together for a long time, or when we've been together for a long time, the passion starts to cool down. It's natural. So just as we don't want to eat cold food, but from time to time, we have to make sure that we're eating it up. We have to do the same with our intimacy. And so it's important to learn what skills are necessary to ignite or to nurture this fire that we built in the beginning. There are many things out there that we can learn. The last session we talked about communication, very, very important. If you don't tell me what you want, I won't know, I don't read minds. Or we can go and research and find out. Of course, you'll talk about some very dangerous techniques that are harmful, but finding out what will please your partner helps. Discuss it openly. What would you like me to do to you? I don't have that skill, so tell me what you want. And that goes a long way into nurturing intimacy. It means that we're not taking the intimacy for granted. Dr.
Wow, so it's that's nurturing the intimacy means that I should let you know what I want. I should know what my partner also wants.
Yes, intimacy may not just be physical, it might be emotional, it's also emotional and spiritual and everything, all these things nurture it, but you have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it. Okay, so talking about the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, the spiritual aspect, we need to know what each other wants. Okay, what each other wants. But ladies and gentlemen, I did mention earlier on that I'll be asking a few questions and I would leave it to you for you to ask your question, just that your questions should be related to what we are discussing, then I'll read it. If it is not related, I would not read it. Dr. Caesar, somebody just said that if you could throw more light on my question. Yes, I was just about to ask, but it looks like the emotional bit, the spiritual bit, the physical bit.
Okay.
How do we nurture? Yes, we need to talk about it, but if you could throw some more light on it.
Okay. I was thinking that everybody else was confused. Well, when we get into a relationship, whether we're married or about to get married, we want to assure the other partner that we are committed. So that's the emotional bit, we're in it. And then there's the spiritual aspect of it, that we are expecting that our goals in this relationship meet a certain standard. You know, you talked about the moral aspect of it. Then, of course, there's the physical side of it. Are we compatible in that sense? Sometimes we get into a relationship without looking at these three areas: the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual or the psychological aspects of it. And then there are issues, or there may not be issues, but like I said, with time, the passion starts to wane. So we have to find ways of nurturing, trying to regain what we had before. So when we are thinking about the physical side of it, what can we do as a couple who have become so used to each other to ginger interest? Are we looking at our appearance? Are we as attractive to our partners as we were before? Psychologically, are we on the same page? And then emotionally, am I meeting your needs? Are you meeting my needs emotionally? Are you there for me? Do I feel your presence? So these are questions we ask. And if all these things are going on in our minds, if we are looking at, let's say, just the emotional aspects of it, and we are worried, we don't feel connected to our partner, and we don't talk about it, how will that partner know? Not everybody can read body language or nonverbal cues. So sometimes it's actually good to open our mouth to say, I miss you, I miss your touch. I miss the fun we used to have just watching TV, doing nothing, just sitting there. So these are things that we shouldn't be shy to talk about. We need to reconnect if we have disconnected, or even if we haven't disconnected. It's good to remember that at some point, the passion goes down. So to nurture it, to keep it going, we have to work emotionally, physically, psychologically. We have to make ourselves look attractive to our partner all the time, male or female. I hope that has answered your question.
Yes, you've done good job to it. I would ask Mrs. Dakun to add a bit to it. But before Mrs. Dakun comes in, Dr. Caesar, whilst we are talking, there was so much echo from your end. I could feel it here, others could feel it. So perhaps you could see what you are doing differently today, other than what you've been doing.
Dr. May, maybe if you are using 2 devices, then the echo is
no,
possible.
I'm only using one. So maybe I should log off and join again. I'm using only one device. So I don't know why there's an echo.
Please don't log off. Please don't log off so that you don't log off before we lose you. We'll take it like that, please.
We'll take it like that.
I'm very sorry. I really don't know what's happening here. I don't know why there's an echo. But I can read from the chat box that other people are experiencing it. Okay, let me just go into it, please.
Well, it's okay. We'll manage it. We'll manage it. Mrs. Dakun, would you like to add something to what Dr. May just said? Then I'll come with the full question.
A lot. So, hello, please, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So, just to add to what Doc just said, so nurturing, just in a lay person's English, meaning growing something out of it. So if we are going to nurture our intimacy, then we are going to grow our sex life. And so how do we do it such that we will make it the way we want? We'll do it the way we want. How we will both be satisfied. We'll both be happy about intimacy. So I see this to be able to grow together or nurture together. There must be mutual respect. And as Doc said, we should look at our hygiene, our neatness, our presentation. You should be able to present yourself clean, neat, and your partner should be happy seeing you. Should be happy talking to you about the person. Look at the interest you have in the intimacy. If it is about sex, it's about discussing your issues. We should also, to nurture it, we should be natural. When people see that you are pretending about things, they tend not to like it. So you should be natural with your actions and inactions. You should have time for each other, and then you avoid tension in the relationship. Be caring and give praises. Anytime somebody praises you, you tend to feel comfortable with that person. And so some of these things, we take them for granted, but it is very, very important if we want to nurture intimacy in our relationship, be it marriage or just planning to get married. Thank you very much. Hello, Dr. Arthur. Hello, Dr. Arthur. Please, can you hear me?
I think we've lost him. Okay, so whilst we wait for him, I would also want to add, and whilst we wait for him to join, there are other things in addition to what has been said about nurturing. Is also in healthy ways, in ways that is not detrimental to the other person. So you have to also look at health-related problems. So for your wife or your husband, you need to find out whether they have any other problems that
Newman is on now. Okay, so we are the only ones left. Hello.
Yeah, hello, sorry. Sorry, I went off a bit. So we'd also have to look at the health implications of it and some of the things that can be detrimental to the person's health. And so for things like this, you realize that for females, the females may have a peculiar problem that may be affecting them. So down there, they may have some infections, they may have some pain during sex, they may have some pelvic related problems. And those things may actually make it very, very difficult for them to respond to you sexually. For men, they may also have premature ejaculation, they may have some erectile dysfunction or some STI of a sort. So all those things can actually impede the nurturing process. Problems, risk about some sex-related behaviors can actually make sex very difficult for the partner. So things like, for example, anal sex. Anal sex is actually one of the major risk factors for many health-related problems. HIV spread through the anus is 4 times more than through the vagina. And if you look at how the anal area is designed anatomically, see, God has made the way in such a way that it's really not for penetration, it's an exit. So there is this tight anal ring there, that ensures that when you eat, food gets in there, some is absorbed, some has to be excreted. When it gets to the rectum and all that, the anal ring is closes so that the feces doesn't leak. So when the place is full, you have the urge to go and to the toilet, to use to the washroom, and the anal ring now opens. Then the feces comes out. So when there is constant penetration through the anus, it damages this ring. And when that ring is damaged, what it means is that you are going to have something called fecal incontinence, where anything that goes there now comes out without your control, and cancer risk through anal sex is about 20 to 40 times. So in marriage, there are some partners who want all kinds of sex-related practices, and sometimes they don't even think about their partner and how the partner feels about it, and the impacts of whatever sexual behavior they want on on their partner. And sometimes those things are influenced by what they've been watching around. So you go to watch some sex-related material, and you want to go and test it on your spouse. And your spouse may not be comfortable about it, and it may be damaging to the partner's health. So you need to be very, very careful about some of those, sexual practices. There are some sexual practices that cannot be nurtured, and that can be detrimental to your partner's health. and you need to be very, very careful about it. You know, and things with STIs and all that because of multiple sexual partners and stuff. You know, and especially people who are even bisexuals. What it means is that, you know, the risk of HIV goes up with any other sexual behavior that may not be appropriate. You know, so sometimes you realize that HIV risk amongst, you know, some of these unhealthy sexual behaviors, it goes way, way, way up. You know, and that people would have to be very, very careful about it. Then again, too, when it comes to, you know, nurturing, we talked about, you know, spirituality and all that. Also, social cultural related problems. You know, so all those discussions must go on, because if you're married to someone who is from a certain background, they have a certain perception and mindset about sex and how it should be done. So if you don't understand where they are coming from, the what you call perception about it, how they feel about that kind of sexual practice and stuff like that, you may think that your wife or your husband does not want to have sex with you, but they are just not okay, because maybe from their tribe or culture or their religion, you know, it is not okay. It is not even morally okay, depending on the cultural, situation they may find themselves in. It may impede the nurturing process, such that they may even not want to engage in some form of sexual practice with you. You know, and also congruent with the fact that some people may have other health-related problems that can impede the nurturing process. Things like people with hypertension, diabetes, you know, people who have some depression or anxiety or stress, bipolar, schizophrenia, and all those things. So any health situation can actually be a situation that may impede the nurturing process. So if you're a couple, you need to be aware of all these things and see how, you can have the meaningful conversation with your spouse about it. And one other thing that I forgot to add was infertility. You know, infertility, you know, things like, when the couple are not able to give birth, what is going to happen is that every sexual encounter may not be for the enjoyment, but for, making babies. So the anxiety around the sexual, activity may go so up, and that can affect the quality of the sexual practice. And that can really significantly impede, the intimacy amongst couples. So these are some of the few things that, may impede the nurturing process. Okay. Is Dr. Atta back?
Yes. Yes, I am back.
Okay.
Thank you for holding the fort.
Send me Momo. Send me Momo.
All right, I'll do that. Yeah, you there, where you know it already. I'll do that just when we are done with this. Good. I mean, that's quite an exhaustive explanation that you have there, that nurturing intimacy has a lot of things that can be done. Good. Mrs. Daku, this question, I want you to address this question. The issue about premarital sex. We have been told not to do it, but now we are doing it. It comes with its own problems. Fair enough. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Doc.
Good. So now we've done it, but there is the issue of incompatibility between us, sexual incompatibility specifically, of a potential life partner.
Okay.
Of a potential life partner.
So are we talking about the impact of premarital sex on our marriage life?
No, we've not gone to that yet.
Okay.
We've not gone to that yet. I'm talking about a couple or married couple.
Sexual incompatibility.
Sexual incompatibility.
All right.
A married couple.
Okay.
How should this be dealt with right from the start? Because, we are looking at a couple having that psychological well-being as perfect as it is. But from what we've discussed so far, if sex also contributes to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to make sure that we are addressing the problems. So if there is the issue of sexual incompatibility, that there is it will create dissatisfaction. How should this issue be dealt right from the start if I have a potential life partner and this is an issue between us?
All right, so the sexual incompatibility, if we are advocating that premarital sex is not to be done, then it means that you would have entered a marriage before you got to know that you are not compatible of a sort. So whichever way we are looking at this issue, we are advocating for premarital counseling and then also pre-relationship medical checks. There are times that people think it is only when they are about to get married or that they are in relationship that they will need to go through medical investigations about themselves. You may have issues that can impact negatively with your sexual life. And so even before you have somebody to even take to the altar or wherever you want to take it to, you might have known your own health status, gynecologically, urologically, and then medically. So you are better positioned to know that this is me, and this is what I have heard that I have through these investigations. And so counseling will also be needed. So before you even enter into a relationship, which if you are in some of these issues and you are in the marriage already, you have to go to your counselor and be open with the issues. You should be able to tell about what you are actually going through. We should be open in the relationship so that we are able to speak and tell what we are actually going through because of the impact of the incompatibility we are seeing. Because some of these things, they are so subjective that the person is saying, and I think Doug was making a statement about some of the things our culture impacts and all that. So it also impacts with this incompatibility. People just look at their belief system, their upbringing, their worldviews, and they are bringing it into the relationship. And they say that you are not compatible to me. But through counseling, you will know that whatever they claim to be a challenge is not a challenge, and that it is just the impact of what they've been made to understand. And so for me, pre-relationship examination of yourself, and then if you are in it, counseling will do, and then the counselor should know where to refer, when to refer, so that if you are taking couples or people in relationship through counseling with sexual incompatibility and you realize that there are underlying factors, you should refer and don't think that you know it all. There are some people who think that they know it all. No, you should know your limits so that if there is a need to refer, you refer. And so that is what I will say for now when it comes to sexual incompatibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, I mean, sexual incompatibility is not the end of the matter. Further investigation of you as a couple with a professional counselor would help you to more diagnose the problem and see if there are solutions to it, so that then it will not be a good idea to say that we are sexually incompatible. So for that matter, the relationship should come to an end. We cannot marry. Ike, is there anything you want to top it up?
Yes, I think that it's incompatibility. I think is very, very subjective. You know, so what I mean is that it's more individualized, and the goal actually of sex is to enjoy it to the point where you are satisfied after that experience. And so when people talk about incompatibility, they're actually referring to dissatisfaction with the whole sexual experience. So one of the ways to deal with it is to focus on pleasure instead of even the approach. And you need to ask yourself, what is the best way to go about sex so that I can derive the maximum benefits and the pleasure that comes with it? Those who have a pleasure mindset about sex, they tend to enjoy sex better, and they tend to explore the various dimensions of sex better than those who are not really looking at the pleasure aspect of it. And because so sometimes I tell couples that, when you're able to explore well and you're able to improve on your ability to have sex, it becomes an enjoyable experience for both couples. Sometimes I tell them that, for example, if your wife says, it is my ear that is most sensitive, there are 1,000 ways of stimulating the ears to give maximum pleasure. And I tell couples, if wherever they say is most sensitive, they didn't put it there. It is God who put it there. It is not their fault that that place is sensitive. And God put it there so that it can be stimulated. It's as simple as that. So when they have a pleasure mindset about sex and an enjoyment mindset about sex, and it's not like it is work, it is a responsibility. It is something that a means to an end. And it's just that, okay, sex is pleasurable. It's a good thing. I need to enjoy it with my partner. I need to have the utmost experience about sex. Then the issues about compatibility may not be an issue, because everybody now wants to enjoy it and they are ready to do what it takes to maximize that enjoyment. So sometimes I think that term is quite subjective, and it is based on people's mindset about sex and what exactly it should be.
Okay. So exploration to seek for pleasure will be one trick to it. The other trick is to do for counseling when this exploration perhaps did not work. May, would you like to top it up, or I should ask you my next question?
I think what I would say will come in the next question.
Okay. So that how would you respond to those who view sex as a duty in marriage? Are there any consequences? Those who see sex as they are performing their duty, bam, they are doing their duty. So nothing else. Are there any consequences to such mindset?
Thank you. Surprisingly, I get this question a lot from couples in therapy. I'm doing my duty. Okay, so the first thing I ask is, what's your duty? Define your duty where sex is concerned. You are, let's say, an older couple, you're past childbearing age. So then if you say you perform sex as a duty, what is the duty? Is it not for pleasure? If not your pleasure, your partner's pleasure? So if you refer to anything as a duty, the watchman's duty is to make sure that thieves do not break in, right? That's his duty. So if every night he's at his post, thieves don't break in, he is performing his duty. But what if he's at his post, but then he's asleep? You see, we can say he didn't perform his duty. So if you say you're performing your duty, then you have to do it the way it's supposed to be done. The sex act is supposed to be carried out. Dr. Newman and Auntie Barnes talked about what sex is for in a marriage. We know that it brings people together. And if we're not even going to relegate this to just married couples, we're talking about sex in general. It's for you and somebody to enjoy. Maybe not through the back door, the exit, as Dr. Newman pointed out, but then it's for you and your partner to enjoy. So if you are taking on that aspect of your relationship, it is a duty, because that intimate relationship we are nurturing includes sex. So your duty is not complete if the sex in there is not pleasurable. If it's not pleasurable to you, it has to be pleasurable to your partner. So there are two answers here. People view sex as a duty in marriage. Yes, when you get married, part of it is sexual pleasure. And with the first part, we talked about couples like Isaac and Rebecca. And I think I mentioned that even at that old age, there is a reference in the Bible that Jacob and Esau came upon their parents being intimate. So it tells us that it's gone beyond childbearing. What about those who had kids when they were past it? Like Abraham and Sarah, their grandparents, like Elizabeth and John, what's his name? Zachariah. They could not have had John if they were not engaging in sex. So would you say that it was a duty? No, it was for pleasure. Because they knew they were past it, but they continued to have sex. So we can't say that we are performing a duty. What is the duty? The duty includes giving pleasure. Otherwise, you are asleep on the job.
Sleeping on the job, you need to be fired.
Yes.
You cannot sleep on the job. Sleeping on the job is tantamount to being fired.
Exactly.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want us to do a review here. Across all of you. You know, what we are talking is sex and psychological well-being. And so we've come to know that communication is key in all aspects. Building the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect, the physical aspect is key. How does communication help in sex? How does communication help in sex? Mrs. Dako, let me start with you. How does communication help in sex?
Hey, seriously, if you don't communicate, how do I even know that you are enjoying or not?
Your volume is a bit low. I don't know whether you have to increase it on your machine.
All right, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm saying that without communication, it will be very difficult for your partner to know the level at which you are, whether you are satisfied in whatever you are doing or whatever. It also gives room for a lot of speculations in our minds if you are not communicating. So I will just think that, oh, okay, maybe this is what is happening, and it may never be the case. That is why we encourage that whatever you are going through, or if be it negative or positive, if you have any feeling, if something is not going the way you feel it should be, you should be able to communicate. Because there are times we are thinking that our partners should know it, and they are not looking the direction at all, especially men. You think that this man should praise you a bit, should tell you that you are looking good, should do, and it is not in their dictionary. Most of the men, they are not looking there. And so this hair that I've spent so much money, aren't you talking about it and all that? So with time, you realize that the person gets to know that, oh, these things give my partner some satisfaction, and they will do it. So if you don't communicate, I mean, you are killing your relationship, because nothing goes on, and it affects it negatively than positively. So communication is very key. And otherwise, there are times too, if you are not communicating, you put a lot of tension. We are not too sure whether what we are doing, the other person is becoming suspicious. What is happening? If you are not talking, it gives a lot of room for speculations. So communication is key. And that is why if you are not even communicating for some time, the psychologist may have to invite you to tell you what is happening to you. So communication is key in relationships. That is what I would say for now.
Okay. So let's communicate. What is your take on it? But I want you to focus on verbal and non-verbal cues, because it looks like we are always looking at verbal cues, but non-verbal cues can also do good and do harm. And last time we realized that it's also a contributory factor to sexual anxiety and all that. So tie it in for me, verbal and non-verbal. The facial expression alone, and that alone do damage.
Okay, so basically, I think that communication starts before the sex itself, during sex, and after sex. Men usually are interested in during sex, whatever you do, the communication during sex. Women are interested in before sex, during sex, and most importantly, after sex. So depending on whether you're a man or a woman, the mode of communication and when to communicate may be very, very different. So before sex, there can be some verbal or non-verbal cues. Some of the verbal can even be a written cue where you send a message to your spouse or you say something to them that is suggestive of whether you are interested or not. And with that, you need to also be careful about the children who are around, because some of them can be very, very inquisitive. A child can come and ask you some question you cannot answer for months. So some of those verbal cues, you can actually send a note or make a comment or something. Non-verbal is the things you do, even bathing, before sleeping, putting some perfume, wearing some, what do you call it, seductive kind of, apparel, and things like that. Even the arrangement of your room with scented things and candles, all those things are part of the things that can give some important communication and cue. Then during the sex activity itself, non-verbal, your facial expressions, the things you say, to express that you're enjoying what is happening and stuff like that, how you even touch your spouse, and even how you do it in exploring the sensitive areas of your spouse. That is very important. I had a couple who came and said that, doctor, wait, they don't know straight for all. That is not okay. So even how you explore the body of your partner, the finesse with which you even explore, makes it even more enjoyable. How slow you are, how fast you are, and all that has a way of communicating that you are excited about this happening. If, for example, you lie just down there, you are not sensitive to the person, you are not showing any actions or whatever is going on to express that you're enjoying and stuff like that, it becomes sometimes difficult for even the other partner who wants to enjoy the sexual experience. And sometimes, what couples do is that to prevent them from even having sex, they are going to even try and, have some anger outbursts, or they may not have a good facial expression or something. It is better to talk over the situation with your spouse than to initiate the sexual experience and not put up your best during the sex experience. Because the more you do that, the more that your partner is likely to build an emotional wall around him or herself. And that would facilitate other behaviors that may not be appropriate. Then after the sexual action or something where people have orgasm and all that, even holding your spouse, kissing them, or even expressing some words that are nice to them has a way of adding on to the whole thing and communicating that whatever happened around was okay for them. So it's not like the moment you finish, that you are sleeping, and you just doze off. Unfortunately, you snore. Can be very annoying to the partner if all those things are going on. Finally, I want to say that, sex is so important that if you are not satisfying your partner and you have trapped your partner in a marital environment, what do you want them to do? You see, they are stuck with you. They are trapped with you. They have feelings for sex. You are not ready for it. You are not giving it to them. What else do you want them to do? And I think that it is one of the major disservice you do to your partner. It's even a crime. Even in the law, if you don't have sex with your partner for some time, it's equated to divorce also, right? So it can be a grounds for divorce. So if you marry someone and you have trapped the person in a certain moral space that they cannot go outside of the relationship to have sex with someone, yet you are not meeting their sexual demands, then what do you want them to do? So a lot of couples are trapped in that environment. They have to hold on and press on and press on and press on and suppress their sexual desires because of the attitude of the other partner. And I think that is one of the most important the service that you do to your spouse if you do not satisfy their sexual needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If I don't allow me to say some, it will not be fair. So, Dr. Caesar, what do you have with this communication bit, verbal and non-verbal bit?
I think they said it all. My colleagues have said it all. The communication has been explained, the physical, the non-verbal, the verbal. The point is, what are we communicating? We're communicating that we're in this together. We're communicating.
The internet is not helping us grasp.
At all. I think you can't hear me, right? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you loud and clear now.
Yes, I'm saying that we say communication, verbal, non-verbal. The thing is, what are we communicating? We are communicating that we need each other, bottom line. So even if we cannot engage in the sexual act because of a medical problem, we still want the other partner to know that I desire you, you're beautiful to me as you were before. These are the things that enhance the relationship. These are the things that nurture a relationship. So it's not just the sex, but the fact that we are communicating how we feel about each other and how important we are to each other. This is more important even than the physical aspect, because some people are just not capable. I'm sure we'll be talking about those things later. But for me, that is the thing about communicating. Communicate why you are with that person.
Fantastic, fantastic. Charlotte, please hold on your fire. I have my last question to ask, then I'll open the floor for each of us to ask our questions. So hold your fire for now, Charlotte. Can you please drop your hand for me? Charlotte, can you please drop your hand for me? Florence, are you there? Mrs. Dakun, are you there? I think she had a problem. Mrs. Dakun, today the internet is not helping us crowd. It's not being helpful. I had wanted her to respond to this for me, but if she comes back, she would. All right, then let me bring it to you then.
She's asking to be unmuted, please.
She's asking to be unmuted.
Yes.
And my tech guy, because because I dropped off, I'm no longer the host. Let me see if I can search, because I can't search, I can't find. Let me see what I can do here. Okay.
Yeah, I think I've done it. You can, okay. Yes, you can unmute, yes.
Yes, so Florence, you can unmute. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Dog.
Yes.
Hello, Dog.
Yes.
Yes, just a little with the communication and some of the things that we do. You see,
okay,
some
go ahead.
of us, our upbringing is such that we are not able to respect other people's languages, tribe, and some religion and those kind of things. So if you are in a relationship and you are the type who just make sarcastic statement about people's tribes, maybe your partner, the tribe, the kind of language they speak, even the type of food they eat. If you are fine of doing that, it affects the person psychologically. So some of these ways, the way some people think they are playing around things, but they do it such that it feels very bad. And so in relationships, we should be careful talking about our partners, tribe, religion, the place you come from, your status, and all those things. We must guide against those things, else it will not play out well for us. This is what I wanted to add to what my senior colleagues have said. So I'm listening.
Thank you very much. That's a very important input that you've added it to. Thank you very much. Yes, because some remarks as if you are joking, but they're derogatory.
Yeah.
And it has a very strong impact, and as well as can have a strong impact on the relationship. Because if you make a derogatory remark about the person's tribe and that sort of thing, psychologically it doesn't help. And how do you expect the person to enjoy you as a person? So yes, that's a very good point you made there. Now my question is about, you did mention it. You did mention it, and how does religious beliefs impact the sex life of a couple from the psychological perspective? What is the ideal situation? In actual fact, this question reminds me of a popular joke between two church leaders. There's a senior one and there's the junior one. The junior one went to the senior one to tell him that, Pastor, I have a problem with my wife. He said, what is the problem that you have with your wife? He said, Pastor, look at me. These fingers that I used to play organ for the church and everybody enjoys it. My wife wants me to use my fingers to do things that are very not unreligious. How can I do that? And the senior pastor said, young man, what is wrong with you? Look at me. Look at me. This tongue that I use to say words that changes people's life. Do you know what I use it to do in the bedroom? Now go back and do what your wife wants.
That's funny. That's funny, but
so yes, tell us how does the religious beliefs impact the sex life of couples? What is the ideal situation?
Okay, so the ideal situation, there are times that some of our leaders, they use their subjective opinions to make statements as if it's coming from the holy book they are using here, because religion may be any other of them. I don't want to use Christianity as the only one. Most often, our religious beliefs, depending on how we have been orientated into sex, you may feel there are times that the religion alone that you belong to makes you feel guilty about sex. And then also there are times others can also see sex as a sin. There are times that if you are made to understand through religious teachings and indoctrinations that you don't need sex to do this, you don't need the inciting examples of people I don't want to mention, because if celibacy is what you think is good for you, and you want to impose it on every person in your religious set, then that one, it's negative. So you make sex to seem as a sin to your followers. And also there are times you don't have much knowledge or education about sex, and you use it, you make statement about sex as if you are an authority of it. So this is what some religious leaders do. At times our leaders are also not reading around to understand sex well. It is just about the holy book that they use. If it is the Quran, is the Quran, or if it is the Bible, and everything about sex is out. Forgetting that, you see, you are dealing with our spiritual life, which we don't see. And people are looking at the social life, which includes the sex that we have and all that, which is impacting. And so those ones they see the penis, they see the vagina, they feel it. If orgasm is good, they are feeling everything about it. And And so when you are making statements about it, you might have read around it. If you think you are limited in knowledge, you can also ask somebody who has it to teach you even before you go before your people to teach. So what makes most religious leaders or religious preachers and those people, they make people find themselves as kind of, they will not actually say, but the way they will cite examples and the cases that come around with sex, if the person is not psychologically strong, they use that one as they hold it on as the yardstick that they will measure themselves with. And I think that is not the best. And when people have, if for instance, the youthful age, your hormones, your enzymes are active and working, and there is these feelings of this, there is this attachment to this lady, or rather the interpretations that are given, if you are not careful, you make people feel that sex is a sin. And then hearing and preaching about some of these sex toys and these things that people are using and cursing people who use it and doing all that, you don't have any knowledge about it. Please, let's learn so that we are not so myopic about issues that are affecting us socially and even our own members. I mean, if it is church, your church members, if it is the mosque, the members who are also praying with you, I think our religious leaders should understand and also educate themselves well, the effect, the negative impact of not doing it well. Like Doug made a statement about anal sex and its impact, the health implications, the negative impact that it poses, cancers and all that. These are some of the things, so that if you are also preaching to your members that these things you can do it, and using pornography as a yardstick and all that, those ones too, the education must go. So you must, if you are leading people, you must have education about things that are becoming an impact in the society, so that when you stand before your congregants, you speak with facts. So that is what I will say for now. Certain sex positions and other things, practices are also seen as immoral, and all these things we must understand and learn. You can refer to a psychologist, to a medical person, and to give you more knowledge. Yes, so that you are able to understand and speak about it, and not to affect people negatively. So for now, Doc, this will be my submission on the impact of religion and belief.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ike,
yes.
Are you able to top it up?
Yes.
I mean,
when it comes to sex,
from the analogy that I gave, if you were the senior leader, what would you have told the junior?
Well, so I think the senior was right. When it comes to sex, especially, I'm a Christian, let me use Christianity so I can talk more about Christianity. You know, when it comes to sex, you know, actually the Bible does not talk about the activity itself, but it talks about the context with which the activity takes place. So when it comes to the activity itself, you realize that the Bible is quite silent about how to have sex, you know, because sex must be enjoyed, and that is individualized, you know, in terms of how the person can be stimulated, how the person can reach orgasm and have some satisfaction. So for example, if you read Proverbs chapter 5, verse 18, it says, enjoy the wife of your youth, let her breasts satisfy you all the days of your life. Imagine God talking about breast in the Bible. You know, so when it comes to the activity itself, the Bible is the most romantic book you can ever think about. When it comes to there are all kinds of scriptures describing the sexual activity and what happens. So the activity itself, the Bible leaves it a bit blank, because individuals and how they feel towards sex and what gives them the best satisfaction. So the senior pastor was right. You know, wherever is sensitive to your spouse, you need to find the varied ways that those sensitive parts of your spouse can be stimulated so that she or he can get what you call the maximum satisfaction. Then again, to the context is where the Bible talks about most. And the context that the Bible is against, because of all the implications around the context, is what the Bible is against. And the Bible is clear about premarital sex. It's clear about extramarital affairs. And it is clear about same-sex problems. You know, so the context about premarital sex, about, you know, what do you call it, extramarital sex, and about same sex, the Bible is against that. And the Bible is very, very clear about it. But when it comes to, for example, you're married, you have a wife, and you want to have sex or intimacy, the Bible leaves it a bit blank, except when it is injurious to the health of the other person. You know, but in terms of enjoying him, stimulating him or her, you know, making sure that everybody has some level of satisfaction and enjoyment, the Bible is quite silent about it, because individuals and the points in their body that is most sensitive and how they want to respond to sex. You know, and actually the Bible talks about breast and all those things, you know, and stimulating the breast and all that. Songs of Solomon is even related with all kinds of things there. So the context is what the Bible, you know, is against when it comes to certain sexual practices, right? But when it comes to the activity itself, the Bible is quite silent about it, because, you know, it's individualized, and wherever. There are some people, some parts of their body is sensitive, others is not, you know, so that one, I think. So if you, for example, you're a religious person, it is not the activity itself that is the problem, but the context with which the activity takes place. That is where most of the religious organizations may actually have something against. But if you have your wife and you want to enjoy your wife, you know, there are several sex positions you have to explore. There are several ways of, you know, I'm sure the head pastor knows what he uses his tongue for, and the wife loves it. You know, there are several things you can use your tongue for in stimulating your wife or your husband. There are several ways of touching. Actually, there are a lot of points in the body that is very, very sensitive, and that is your responsibility to stimulate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, May wants to ask something. Okay, May, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, for couples who come in with a problem about sex or lack of intimacy because of religious beliefs, there are quite a number of tests for these things, but I have one that will look at your background. When you were reaching puberty, when you were, you know, when you started to engage in sexual activity, what were your perceptions, your beliefs about sex? So can you hear me, Dr. Arthur?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the reason we want this information, as Auntie Florence and I have also pointed out, is that our background determines how much we know and how far we are prepared to go with our partners. Now, after you have determined what each person knew or had engaged in, you can start to work from there. So for instance, the couple, the woman who does not want to do ABCD because, you know, she wasn't brought up that way. The thing is, what is it about sex and the acts that you find abhorrent? What is it? So we need to determine that our bodies respond if our minds and hearts are there. Otherwise, we will have a problem. So other parts of your body, for instance, are a good way to determine how far you are prepared to go with your spouse. Dr. Arthur was talking about the erogenous zones. Yes. So when couples are in therapy, I ask them, do you know the erogenous zones of your partner? If you're married, then you have a God-given right to go and explore and find them. They are there. So I also enjoin the men, please, at this stage where you want to nurture your relationship, you want to grow in your bond and your intimacy, stay away from the actual sex act, because what sometimes happens is the partner who is not into it will say, this is where the duty part comes in, will say, okay, I'm doing my duty, you have your way, and then I have done my duty. You get it? But when it is a shared thing, that, okay, she is not into sex, perhaps because I have not been able to help her find her sexual self. Let me do that. Let me not, I'm using this word selfish cautiously. Let me not be selfish. Let me help my spouse find his sexual person. And then we will be able to enjoy it. Then that takes away the duty parts. That takes away the encroachment on religious beliefs parts. Because this time, it's not that you're doing something wrong, not that you're sinning. This is your body. When you went for that person and you paid the bride price, we are even told in Corinthians that your body, if you're a man, is not yours, and a woman, your body belongs to your husband. It means that know that property or that body or that person you have agreed to have as next to you, which includes knowing everything about that person's sex drives, erogenous zones, and what turns them on before you even engage in the sex, so that it doesn't look like a selfish act. Because if one partner is not enjoying it and feels it's a duty, then what's the point? So put the sex act aside. Learn about, if you buy a toy, you sit behind it. If it's a phone, you want to see everything about the phone. It has these features, it has this, it has that. For some of us who are, older, let me put it that way, we say the phone is only good for messages and phone calls and WhatsApp. We don't want to know about all the other things. But when you are in a relationship with somebody, you have to know in order to benefit from what you have. So when I talk to couples, I tell them, focus on giving pleasure, not just through sex. The sex part will come. It will come. But the pleasure has to be built up in other ways. That is one way of even deriving sex in a relationship. That is one of the surest ways, because then we know where we are going with this. And you are not actually going against religious beliefs, because this is the person you went for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well elaborated. Communicate well, explore for pleasure. These two things will take you places. So we'll give you that psychological well-being that you will give you that psychological well-being that you need. Explore and communicate well. Now, my participants, it's time to read some of your questions and deal with them. If there are others, you can bring them in. I have the first one I want to look at here. It reads, it's from Brantford Tay. It talks about attachment. In actual fact, we are looking at doing attachment quite soon, but it talks about attachment. I am a bit worried as to couples doing and overdoing pampering or attaching to each other. What happens when one dies? When one dies and the one left behind goes through a lot mentally, emotionally, and physically. That is attachment. Brantford will do that later, but attachment, how is attachment connected to sex in this case? Ike, is there a connection?
Yeah, well, if you are more attached to your spouse, it's likely that you may actually feel some level of warmth towards that spouse, and it can improve on intimacy. If you have less attachment to your spouse, sex become annoying. So couples who are deeply into each other, they are likely to enjoy better intimacy than those who are not. So that also, I think one person asked about long distance. I think it may pop up, right? Okay. So if you are married, fresh couples, your spouse, you are staying apart each other, long distance, the attachment may not be there. So when the person comes home finally, or at some occasions, sex may be very, very difficult because the person, you've not built that emotional bond with the person. So long distance relationships actually affect attachment, and that can affect intimacy.
So perhaps we should be looking at attachment and long distance relationships in the near future, isn't it?
Yes.
Because all these things are issues that gives us gives us psychological headaches, and that is what we want to prevent. Because the start is more, so if you're able to prevent them, so perhaps let me put it down. From Jeffrey, are there plans to have access to this recorded version? Jeffrey, you are welcome to this platform for the first time. This is the 21st edition, and each of that we've done is on YouTube. So yes, it's available on YouTube from Monday onwards. Isaac Kojo could see great presentation, Dr. Mankwa, Dr. Newman, and co-facilitated. In fact, I have learned a lot for today because this topic will sustain most of the weak relationship positively at our various destinations. Thank you. Whether, yes, it will be available. Ruth asks, Dr. Newman, is it true that some people are trapped and starved? I think she's stuck sexually in that the partner have traveled for long years. Some people are trapped and starved sexually in that the partner have traveled for long years. Is it true? Is it true? Would you want to?
Yeah, well, like we said, long distance relationship has its own problems. So as much as possible, the couples would have to increase frequency of visits. Then also, if they can move together quickly, it's better. If your partner is just going to stay like 2 years and come back, you know, that one, you know, they are going to come back. You know, but if the person lives somewhere else and will be there for a longer period of time, it is better you guys arrange to, you know, make plans to go live together, especially at the beginning of your marriage. Because the first years of marriage is to know each other, build some level of relationship, and build some, you know, what do you call it, bond with your spouse. If they live further away, it may be very, very difficult. So don't stay, you know, apart for too long. There should be plans to make sure that the two of you are going to live together. Yes.
All right, thank you. TechnoSpark 7P, whether that is a male or a female, I can't tell. But asking the question, please, that size really matter when it comes to sex, either thick or small. All right, the question is, well, the question is, it does not matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. When you do the exploration, you can hit it. You can get your plus mark.
I think that the female facilitator should answer this question.
Ray, I try to you. Please, the size really matter when it comes to sex, either thick or small.
No, it doesn't. And it's not in my opinion, because that is why I even said that enjoying sex is not necessarily due to the penetration. Okay, all that foreplay and everything that comes enhances it. So if we're going to be looking at size, for some, due to some issues, it doesn't matter how big you are, the lady is not going to enjoy it, you know, without some work done before the penetration. So you see what I mean? You can be big, but if she's not ready to receive you, she's not going to enjoy it. You might, in fact, most of the time you won't, because she's not ready to receive you. But if you have done the work before the penetration, then the size doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
Please, let me just add.
No, let me hear from the woman first. Let me hear from the woman first. Auntie Florence, what is your opinion
on the size?
Yes, please. Does it matter?
I would say yes and no.
Okay, so, let's hear you.
So the yes is that some of the sensitive tissues that will help you to get to orgasm is also with the entry, I mean, around the penetration, the vulvar penetration, vagina around that, but they are not as much as those behind it, like the clitoris and behind the muscles of the vulva. So if you want, that one is not that much. So with the years, if the size is okay, because of the rubbing that it may tighten it and rub it well, it will stimulate you to get to orgasm, but that takes too long a time. So the clitoris, and then how you stimulate the clit and those ones are fast, and also identifying the sensitive areas of your partner, as if it's your woman. So you identify the sensitive areas and stimulate along with the clit, because those ones contains the sensitive tissues. So that one will facilitate your partner getting to the peak of the sex. But so that one, if you do it so well, the penetration aspect and the size for how small or how big, it doesn't really matter. Because when you look at the distance between your penis is not supposed to enter into the uterus. That one is only by dogs. It's only dogs whose penises, or certain animals whose penis is supposed to enter into the uterus. But human beings, we the women, the uterus, the cervical orifice is tight, so your penis will not enter. And in fact, the distance between the vagina, if you insert your finger into where the cervix, it's not that long. And whichever size of a matured man's penis you are looking at, I know that it will be more than 3 inches, the size. When it's not erected, you see it as small. Okay. When it's erect, it elongates. Hello, dog, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So I'm saying that when it's not erected, those of us women who think that they need some huge penis to get orgasm, it shouldn't be the case. It's the foreplay, how your man plays you around, knowing where to touch, and then adding the clit, which has a lot of sensitive tissues to help you stimulate well and get to your orgasm. That one is perfect. But please, guys, men, at times the stimulation becomes so painful because the tissues are not bones. So you don't just press it as if you are breaking bones. Be very respectful to that tissue. Do it gently, and in addition to the other sensitive areas. And when it comes to this, it should be more than one spot. If it is the breast you are adding to the clit, it's good. If it is the rubbing and then also speaking and rubbing other points the person has identified, it's also good. So the size wouldn't actually matter if you are played well, and the size will matter if you think that getting your peak is the rubbing of the penis inside to get there, and that one takes too long a time. So that would be my take on that.
Thank you very much. That is the next, being as explicit as possible and being clear as possible. If you don't understand it now, then where again will you understand it? Ike, you had wanted to say something.
Yeah, in addition to everything that has been said, sometimes the sex position makes it possible or not to reach orgasm. So there are some sex positions that actually makes the vagina, even if your penis is small, it makes it a bit tighter so that rubbing, is easier. So even the sex position, there are sex positions. What do you call it? A smaller penis, would not, what do you call it? Help with some kind of satisfaction. So the sex position is also very important. So if you are married, you need to explore the various sex positions to see the one that is okay for you, and that would give you the utmost satisfaction. Then again, for females, if you're the female and you've had multiple sexual partners and you have tasted too many penises, you may have problems. You know, so your husband's, it may not be enough. Because you've had several experiences, it may not be enough. And so it also comes sometimes even with injuries, you know, birth injuries, and also what do you call it? You know, sometimes the vaginal size may become because of other health issues or other kinds of things. And one of the issues with satisfaction is that the vibration, they can stimulate you in a way that the penis will not. That will not. So if you get used to vibrators, normal sexual activity with your spouse may be difficult, because there's something we call conditioning. You know, your body is primed and conditioned to a certain kind of stimulation that gives you a certain level of orgasm. You know, so when you're having actual sex with your partner, the person may have normal size, it may be okay, but because you have been stimulating yourself in a certain way, it becomes more and more difficult. So multiple sexual partners, some issues with sex toys and stuff, can even make penetrative sex even not enjoyable as the way it's supposed to be. And that can create problems. For the men, I have noticed in my practice that most of the men who masturbate and stuff, they have issues with even premature ejaculation, you know, because, you know, that stimulation, you know, primes them, it's more like classical, you know, the way conditioning is done. You know, in psychology, there's something we call conditioning. You know, your body is used to a certain kind of sensation, which is not like the normal sexual relation with a normal person. And so if you don't get the similar stimulation, you may have some kind of problems. You know, so that was something small I wanted to add to everything that has been said.
Thank you very much. Quite insightful. Reverend Dr. Christopher Quay, your question has been answered. Is a different sex position very bad? No, Rev, it's not very bad. It's part of the exploration to do what you have to do. Great submission. I'm just skipping. Hey, Reverend has another important question. Is licking your wife a sin? How can I convince my wife to accept licking during sex? Sometimes I feel I am detached to my wife. What is happening to me? I am sensing that her wife does not like the licking. I think she is discomfortable. That is what I am sensing. That is what we have been saying all along. I'm also sharing my idea before the psychologist come in. That is what we've been talking about all along, communication. She is not comfortable about it, but I don't think that that is the only way to exude pleasure for her. There are other ways, because the licking, you want to give her pleasure. You want to give her, not you are getting, you want to give her, but there are other ways of giving her that pleasure. And so if she's not comfortable with this one, let it be and look for other ways. The body is so huge, explore. There are other ways that you can do. May, what is your take on that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, that there are 100 ways of finding the erogenous zone's partner. And if that person is not, you know, in tune, in favor with what you're doing, then it's one-sided. So then the pleasure is all yours, like they say, you know, and that's when it becomes a duty. So even if you continue with what you think I have seen in movies, so she must like it, then the sex act will become a duty to her or for her, because she will give it to you, but she's not enjoying it. She doesn't like it. And like I said, some people have very strong views about certain things. We know that oral sex, anal sex, and all these things are big no-nos in many religions. You know what I mean? So don't impose this on your partner if this is very, very serious of them. You may want to, you may ask and coax and everything, but at the end of the day, if they give in, they know that it's a one-way street. but look for the other things that might give your partner pleasure. Then we are not being selfish about the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because these things do happen. You want to do this, but I don't like it. And sometimes some spouses even feel they know what your erogenous zone is. That is, they know, because they've been with many other women who like it. So this, no, it doesn't work like that. You're doing this to my ear and I hate it. Why are you doing it? And then Dr. Newman was talking about the woman who has tasted many, yes, you know what I mean. It goes for the men as well, because then if they've also been to many cathedrals, that is when they will look at a small church and say, it is too small and this is what I like, or this one is a cathedral. So it's not just the women who have tried many things, this is what the men who have also been many places. And then they make the comparisons. You get it, which can affect the quality of your intimacy. If you're going to be saying, hey, you are big. Some men forget that. Yes, childbirth. But that's the funny thing. We talked about injuries during childbirth and all these things. So some women have injuries from scarring, fistulas, and all these things. They impact the pleasure. But at the end of the day, a lot of men will also tell the women that I don't want you to have spontaneous delivery or vaginal delivery sort of thing, because it will make the place bigger. What is making the place bigger? So they would rather let the woman go through cesarean section because of sexual pleasure. Every time you sleep with this woman, she's going to remember that you made her undergo a cesarean section because of your pleasure. This is also one of the things that pull women away from their spouses, because they may have the scarring down there so that you will have your pleasure. This is not going to nurture the relationship. It's going to pull you apart in the long run. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If either of you have had too many experiences, now you've met a new person, let all the experiences go. Explore with this person, talk with this person, and see what you can do for yourself. Comparison is not helpful. As far as the discussion is concerned, comparison will not helpful. Well, if there's any good from your experiences, you should use it to help what you are in it now, but not to hurt it. Kofi, how do you handle a partner who doesn't like sex? Kofi, communication. If it's a worst kind of scenario, I think you need to talk to a counselor if that is a major problem between the two of you. We have found good counselors here. Chat with them privately and talk to them later on. Techno Spark. I suspect Techno. Please, how can one be relieved of fear of a fiancé's joystick because they have not had sex? But anytime she sees him erected, she becomes afraid of marrying him. He is thick and long. So how did you know that he is thick and long and erected? That is my mischievous question I would ask in this case. Is that how can one be relieved of the fear? When you get married and you communicate and you explore each other, I think that you should do the trick at that point.
Yeah, hey, Doc, please, can I add something? The vagina expands, so even the head of the baby can come out of it. So there's no penis that is too big for the vagina. And again, in the beginning stages of your sexual activity with your husband, you may have this pain here and there, aches and pain here and there. But with time and other things that you don't get too hurt and stuff like that. So with time, it gets better, and you lubricants and those things. So you shouldn't be afraid about your husband because even the head of the baby can come out of it.
All right, thank you, Ike. So, Techno, I think that there is no need to be afraid. There is no need to be afraid. There are ways. Peace, This is getting interesting. I've been married for 20 years and we have barely stayed together continuous for 3 years. I think in future we would have to discuss long distance marriage. Oh, a Zoom user, a sex sin. No, please. Zoom user. If I don't have sex now, how can I tell I or that is the type of person that I need? You cannot tell. But when you get there and you communicate and you explore and you nurture that intimacy that we are talking about, that person will be the person that you put. Emmanuel Tete, please, in one of the submissions, you mentioned sex toys. Is it fine to use sex toys as part of sexual intercourse exercise? Ike.
Yeah, well, I've said that, you see, you can use all kinds of things to provide some satisfaction for your spouse. But in using those things, you need to be careful, because overusage of those things, what is going to happen is that you are going to become used to a certain sensation. And that sensation may deprive you of actual, proper sexual satisfaction from your spouse. So I know certain people who prefer to masturbate than to sleep with their spouse. And no matter the sexual activity with their spouse, they are never satisfied. And that can create conflicts in the marriage. So you need to be very, very careful about some of those sex toys and the usage of them.
Okay, thank you. I guess your question has been answered. Emmanuel Ameya Samson says, please, does lack of sex or not having sex affect psychological performance of one's daily activities? You have the legal rights to, or you want the social rights? May.
Can Auntie Florence answer that one, please?
Okay, I think yes. I'll let my nurse do that. Auntie Florence. Auntie Florence, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Emmanuel is asking, does lack of sex or not having sex affect psychological performance of one's daily activities?
Okay, thank you very much. It depends on not having sex. If you have not started having it, then you are just doing your own thing and it's normal, like you are not married and you are not into any relationship. So sex is not part of your organization, your daily organization. So you go about your normal activities without thinking about sex. But if you have had sex and it has become so regular and you are stopping it at a point, it is just like weaning your child from breast milk. And so it's difficult. That's where the psychological issues will come in, because and it's also how you enjoyed the sex. So if it was enjoyable, then you would have wished that it's repeated, but you are not getting it. So it will give you psychological stress. But if it is something that you never enjoyed, then it's a relief for you. So it will depend. If you have not started having sex at all, it will not be an issue. If you have done it, you were not satisfied, it is not a challenge. If you did it, you were so satisfied and you want it to be not there, it's a challenge. If your partner has now become distant, that one too, depending on your status, maybe you don't want to go in for, which is religiously and even medically, you are not too sure who you are going to pick. And so it's difficult to make mistakes that when is my partner joining me? When is this person coming around? And so it is best if it is marriage. And as Doug said, it is not the best for a distant relationship. If you are going for a short time and coming back, that one is fine. 2 years. 2 years is too long. If it is 2 years, we did years for phone sex and all those ones. That is what we are talking about. And some of these video sex things that we do, if you are not careful and it goes out viral, I mean, it's not the best. So this one will depend on the type of sex, if it has stopped or if it has broken, the relationship has broken. How did you enjoy the relationship regarding sex aspect? And so that is how it is going to put you in a psychological either stress or you will be relieved psychologically. That would be my take on that.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Can I now just add a little bit to that? I wanted her to answer. She's the counselor. You see, again, we talked about this last week, that when we do not know why our partner appears to have lost interest, when we don't know, then that is when we become very anxious, very depressed, very stressed out. That's when we start to have sleepless nights and experience all the symptoms of fear, of depression, of stress, the sleeplessness, the irritability, the loss of appetite. These are the things that take away our joy and affect our psychological well-being. You know, it's when we don't know. So because we keep harping on communication, men have periods when they don't want to have sex. But then we have that idea that they are seeing somebody else, and that is why they lost interest. When you get that stuck in your head, it's going to impact on your psychological well-being. If you are a man and you think your wife has been talking for too long to her work colleague, and you start wondering what's going on, it's going to impact on your psychological well-being. So these are the things that affect our joy in it when we don't know what is going on. So we can ask. We can ask, and you'll be surprised at the answer you get.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so Ike, this is for you. It's from Lady Royal. Please, when I release orgasm for the first 10 minutes, I don't want to continue and it takes weeks for me to feel sex again. Please, is it normal or I have a health problem?
Yeah, well, there are some ladies like that. There are some girls who, for example, the moment they have orgasm, that is it. They don't even touching them becomes irritating. You know, it becomes, what do you call it? It's like someone is tickling them. It becomes ticklish, even with any kind of touch. No, so there are some people like that. So if you are married to someone like that, you need to understand that sometimes that is what their makeup is. So even if you want to have another round of sex, you may have to wait maybe later in the day or something to do that, or maybe the next day, because some people, some women are built that way. Okay, yes.
All right, thank you very much. I think we have about 3 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we've exhausted our time. So we'll use this very last minutes to share your final words, including what some of the things that couple can do to enhance their sex life so that they will be able to have that, the best of psychological well-being. Let's use that to close. So let me start with you, Auntie Florence. Ladies first. Auntie Florence, are you there?
Yeah, oh dog.
Yes.
So,
there are a lot of questions, but we can't do them. We can't do them. They are interesting questions, though. Some of them, I would say that you need to. Why don't you be chatting with our counselors behind the scenes, privately? Take their numbers, go to their consulting room, pay some small coins, let them solve your issues. That is another way you can benefit from some of these exercises. And those of you joining us for the first time, I've said it over and over again. The recorded version will be on YouTube from Monday onwards. Just type in the title of the seminar, it will be there. And when you type in and it pops up, you have all others, the 20 that we've done for the past years, All will pop up and you can enjoy them. Okay, Andy Florence, please go ahead.
Very much. So in conclusion, I would say that the topic is saying sex and psychological well-being. So for my take home for business, I will just give this 3 P's about sex and its psychological well-being. What we should understand is that, hello?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. So I am saying that our topic, sex and our psychological well-being. So my take home, the conclusion remark is that there are 3 P's I have designed. The first P is power. So during our intimacy, during our sex life, in our relationships, we should be looking at, we should pay attention to our mood. We should look at our psychological well-being, our emotions, our experiences. They all affect our sex life. And then we should look at the passage. The passage is the vagina and its environs. How clean, how neat, how bushy, how clear it is. Those ones also impact. And then we'll look at the passenger, which is the penis. The penis should also clean itself well, maintain its health. And in fact, when we look at the passage and the passenger, which is the vagina and the penis, we should be looking at the health. It will remain healthy for us. That part should be exercised. We should take good, we should consider our own intake and output, be it the food that we are eating and all that. We should eat healthy. We should exercise. This one, I'm talking about passive exercise, not those vigorous ones. And we must make sure that we are clean enough and our communication should be good. And the communication here is not only to our partner, but when we are talking about our partner, some of these things impact in our sex life. Talking about our partners' friends, about our partners' families, about our partners' religion, family, tribe, language, and all these things. Because some of these things come to me. Some they tell me privately that this is what my wife is doing. These are statements that they make, and it's affecting their love and it's affecting their sex life. So for me, we should be able to nurture ourselves well, take care of all these 3 P's, in addition to what will work for you in your relationship, because there are no 2 relationships which are the same. So you look at what will work for you and you do it, except that be against the rules and principles of the land and that of God. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Florence.
Hello, Doc.
Ike, still be on the side. It's ladies first, so the ladies have to finish before it comes to your turn. Wait.
Thank you. Thank you. I've enjoyed this. Well, we've been talking about sex, but then we also have to remember that it's pleasurable if our minds, our hearts, and our bodies are in it. So if for some reason these 3 aspects are not involved, we may not be psychologically uplifted. Let me put it that way. So for there to be psychological well-being in sex, we have to remember that it's not just about the sex act as in penetrative sex, but in the intimacy we show, in the fondness we show, in the foreplay, in the caressing, in all these things. Some of them we call dry sex. These are the things that if you have a partner who is stressed out at work and is unable to perform, the fact that you know what is going on alone will allow you to be okay even when there's no penetrative sex. So how to be intimate even without sex is what I believe is beneficial for our psychological well-being. And if through all this we are able to have the sex, then that is the cherry on the cake. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now, Ike, you have
Okay,
the last
so
bit.
yeah, finally, I would say that sex is both divine and human. We didn't create it, God created it. And every part of your body that is sensitive, you didn't put it there, God put it there. And it's also, as much as it's physical, it's also very, very spiritual. So even if you have a certain mindset about the spiritual connotations to it, know that so far as you are married to that person, it is part of your duty or even religious duty to be able to satisfy your partner. Because if you don't do that, you are putting them in a situation, where they are tempted to do things that they are not supposed to do. And it's going to ultimately affect the quality of your relationship and everything that happens, in the marriage. And, someone said that, a boy said that, Dr. Atta, when my parents fight in the night, by morning they are what do you call, they are smiling with each other. What happens? And I told him that when you grow up, you understand. So sex is beautiful. It's an art. Get better at it and do it the way you are supposed to do it. For your partner, the one that you've chosen to love. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ike. Those of you who missed last month's session, at the last session, Dr. Azuson showed us what the clit looks like and the size of how much space you can get to stimulate. For so many years, I didn't know that, and it was job for the boys. So if you're interested, when you look at the last seminar, you would say it, have a look. Have a look. Yes, thank you so much. In fact, it's been a worthwhile discussion that we've had today. We've addressed most of the issues that are pertinent to us. Most of the issues that are pertinent to us. If as a couple you have that strong intimacy in the two of you, there is so much goodness to look for, and that means that you need to talk about it. You need to have that conversation. You need to communicate, talk about it. The emotional aspect that you need, the spiritual aspect that you need, the physical aspect that you need, the psychological aspect each of you needs to complement each other. If there is that satisfaction of all these things, I think you are getting there and you are almost there. Communicate about it. The communication should be the bedrock of that relationship. Then again, sex shouldn't just be sex. We are doing sex as a duty, no. We are doing sex because it's pleasurable. We are providing pleasure for your partner. We are trying to please each other. When that becomes the objective of it, like May would say, penetration is just the icing on the cake. And there are so many things that you can do to get it, to give that satisfaction. Everybody wakes up and there's that smile. And when the men are pulling out the money, you don't even think about it. And then we make promises, and when they are naked, and there's all that excitement about that. So yes, it's been an exciting one. And interestingly, there's the new 3 P's in the system: power, passenger, and passage. Wow. Power, passenger, power, passage, and passenger. All needs to balance each other. Passage must be clean. The passenger must be clean. They must complement each other. And how do they complement? It's all this about communication and exploration and all that. In fact, it's been an exciting one. I tend to enjoy it more when we are done and it's on YouTube and I relax in my small corner. And so you might also have to try it. The point is after watching it again, that is where you get all the point that you can make all that use. Then again, before we go off, if you're interested in making contact with the counselors, chat with them privately, take their numbers, visit them at at their consultancy room and get the service that you need. For some of the cases, you need that counseling. Your questions can be answered here. So all in all, thank you so much, our facilitators. You've done a wonderful job. We really appreciate it. Our participants, also, thank you so much. You are doing this thing for all of us. God willing, next month, if you have good health, we have life, we'll meet again with another interesting topic. Have a very pleasant weekend and enjoy yourself. All the tips that you've learned today, why not free? Go and practice them. Explore. Though you've not done exploration, I wish not done exploration, go and do some exploration and it will be exciting. All right, thank you so much. Have a fruitful weekend and we'll see you again same time next month. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
I'm here till everybody goes off. Yeah, so that they can talk to you privately.
Brian.
Yes, madam.
Aiko.
Yeah, you too, Aiko. It's been a wonderful afternoon. I didn't read some of their comments, but it's exciting. Well done.
For those who are
Thank you. Have a
still
blissful.
Sorry, I'm saying for those who are still on, those who haven't left yet, you know, there was something about the type of personality. We also must remember that if we're not getting it easy with our partners, the partner's personality might be a reason, and we have different kinds of personality types that look at sex and relationships differently. If your partner is, let's say, has avoidant traits, avoidant personality disorder traits, they may see every suggestion as a criticism. So you want to say, oh, do you want to do this? I want to try this for you. They're going to play up and say, you have more experience than I have, blah, blah, blah. Or are you saying that I am not good at this? And this can affect your partner because they will not be forthcoming with anything, with any suggestions. This can actually impact on the quality of a relationship because there are also those who want to dominate everything and are not ready to listen to their partner's needs. Let me put it that way, because they are the men. Most of the time, it's the men who do this, and they know best. I brought you from here. You are not supposed to know anything. You were Angelina Comento. You have no idea. Now you are doing what other people who have been in the business for a long time do. It causes friction and it takes away joy in relationships. And the relationship will not be nurtured this way because one partner is feeling criticized and the other partner is also feeling like they don't know what they're about or they know too much. So some women who know how to even make the relationship, the marriage, the sex better will keep quiet because they may be told they know too much and where did they learn this from? All these things impact relationships and marriages. You're not supposed to know this, you know. But we must know that we are all sensitive and we know what is good for us or what feels good to us. So let's discuss this openly. As men, let's be open to hear what our women have to say about what pleases them. If you want your sex life to be good, if you want to continue to enjoy psychological well-being, listen to your partner. Thank you.
Thank you. This one is for the last killers. They had a last minute tip for staying longer. All right. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Okay, goodbye everybody.
All right, bye-bye then.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye, everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.